welcome to another episode of Perfection Unfolding with me, your host and friend, Cara G. Welcome to the show. Hey, guess what? Wasn't here last week. Did you notice? Yeah, your girl's been going through it. I'm not gonna lie. And I'm not gonna apologize, okay? Part of my journey is knowing when I don't got it and knowing when I do got it. And last week, I didn't have it. And I forgive myself for that. But welcome to the show. If you're new here and you never seen me or heard of the show before, Perfection Unfolding is a world where we ask questions to unfold and unlock basically our fullest potential. We peel back the layers of all the gobbledygook that we aren't so we can get to the core of who we are. Okay, I'm trying to test out different these different kinds of catchphrases to kind of see which one lands, and I think there's just too many words that live inside my head to be able to just pick one. So that's where we're going to leave you today. If you have been watching, welcome back. You know you're my favorite. And yes, if you are new here and you want to be my favorite, you just have to keep watching and engaging and loving me. As the prerequisites. Sorry, I don't make the rules. Yes, I do. I'm actually full transparency, not in the best, I'm not in the best space mentally right now. The last couple of weeks I've been really fired up and really excited, and I've been talking about the astrology that's going around in the ether, and it's Cancer season. So normally I'm in my bag. Normally Cancer season, I'm a Cancer rising. Normally I'm in my bag, and summer is my shit. I love the summer. I've been going to the lake the last 2 weekends, living my best life. Every time I get into a body of natural water, I just feel like I'm being bathed by the angels. I feel like I'm totally renewed. There was something about going to the lake the last 2 weekends that I did not know how much I needed that. To just sit in a body of fresh water, even though it's not even a naturally occurring lake, totally man-made. If you're in the South, well, if you're in Texas, you know what I'm talking about. Not a whole lot of natural bodies of water close by. But anyway, I've been doing that for myself. And so I figured I'd come on this week, and instead of doing what I would normally do, which is disappear forever, because, I have this wound in my head that if I stop doing something, well, since I ripped the scab off once, I might as well just give up, which an incredibly unhelpful way to live, if I'm being totally honest. So I took last week off, and I told myself, no, I trust myself to continue showing up for the show. Just because I take one day off does not mean that it's a game over, okay? What a dramatic way to live your life. Tell me you have a Virgo Mars without telling me, Why do I have to be a perfectionist when it comes to the things that I'm passionate about? Ugh, so annoying and lame. I'm just really in an era of having way more grace and way more flexibility with myself. I mean, it's Cara G. The G stands for grace. Am I right? I feel and I used to joke around that, my middle name's Grace because I need the most help. I just need a little extra oomph in that area of life. So today we're going to be talking about, with all that said, life updates. I normally do life updates. Life updates this week are just I have been deep in the trenches of the early stages of self-sabotage, which always start for me with a little bit of dissociation, a little bit of breaking my own rules, a little bit of not doing my routine, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. And then next thing I know, it's piling up like a big mountain of trash. And I'm like, who put this here? And then I look in the mirror, I'm yelling into the audience of no one, and I'm looking in the mirror at myself just oh, it's you again. I've been deep in the trenches of slowly that self-sabotage train is starting to creep up on me. I can hear in the distance kind of chugga chugga choo choo and into my station, and I'm like, no bitch, no, you can't stop here. I'm on a roll, But a couple years ago when I read the Big Leap, Gay Hendricks, he talks about, I believe it's a man, he talks about your upper limit, and when you reach that upper limit, which comes from core beliefs or, self-doubt and all the things that we tell ourselves, unworthiness wounds or worthiness wounds, all these things, I've been working on these things and for me, by me for years. And it's just so interesting. right before you're about to like break through to your next thing. Well, by God, is that upper limit going to come find you every single time? My upper limit might have gotten taller and taller and taller, but I'm going to meet it every time. I'm going to meet it every time. And I am at the precipice. I am at that limit. I don't even know if that's the word I should be using right now, but I am at my limit right now. And so it's kind of like when this occurs for me, in the past, I didn't have any tools. I had no methodology. I had no rituals. I had no routine, you know? And since I've been doing this work of trying to unfold just letting my life unfold and peeling back the layers of who I am and digging in and zooming in, I've collected tools and I've figured some stuff out for myself. I've analyzed myself. I know exactly what it is that gets me every time. And I think it just speaks to, the work never stops, and your triggers never stop being your triggers, and your wounds never stop being your wounds, but it's how we meet those wounds. It's how we meet those triggers, not how we combat them. Fighting them isn't going to help anybody, but how you meet them is really the difference in that's what changes your life. That's how you change how you move through the world. You change how you approach yourself. You change how you go about your business. You change how you meet those limits. And I think I wanted to hop on here today, and I don't know how long this is going to go. I really am just kind of like going to do this off the dome, because part of my upper limit is if I'm not perfect, it's not worth doing. And I'm actively working through that. I'm actively, practicing my own methodology and sharing it with you to see if it works, honestly. And like, I'll be the example. I will, lead the charge, if you will. And so I want to get on here today, and I wrote down a couple things. We're going to talk about surviving self-sabotage today, right? And I wrote down some steps that they're pretty general, and I think it does a pretty good job. I've probably read a variation of these steps throughout, many of the books that I've looked at and read over the years. But this is kind of like the steps that, when I put them through my lens and I condense them down, this is pretty much like the core of what I think I do when I pull myself out of this self-sabotage pattern, right? And I'm going to speak to it in real time using real life examples of how I got to this self-sabotage cycle that's trying to happen right now. It's trying, and this is kind of it's kind of like I'm at a fork in the road, right? I could, go one direction, which is the direction that I go when I have no tools. I don't do my rituals. I don't pivot, right? Which leads me down the road of like, I'm binge eating, I'm not sleeping. I kind of just say, fuck it. Like anything goes, and then I end up feeling miserable, right? It's temporary solutions to a permanent problem every time, right? Or I could go the other direction, which looks like, okay, I'm having this experience, but I know that if I just do like a little tiny thing here, instead of making the unhelpful choice, I can make a tiny little helpful choice. And then even if I don't do it perfect, and even if it's not the best, it's still something that's moving me into the direction that I want to go. And then that empowers me and gives me the motivation to make one other little helpful choice, and then another little helpful choice. And the next thing you know, I'm spiraling back up instead of spiraling down, right? And so that's what I was thinking about. That's what I want to bring to the table today, is like, what does that look like? What are those steps? How do you go from I'm crashing out, I'm burning out, I want to eat all the food, I want to be reckless, I want to spend all my money, I want to, all the goals I had for myself, throw them out the window because I don't have capacity, right? And that's what happens. Like when you meet your upper limit, like you don't have the capacity to hold the discomfort, right? Or even when you meet a trigger, sometimes it's not an upper limit. Sometimes when it's just a trigger, sometimes maybe you've got trauma or something. And then, like a lot of us have problems with our parents, right? Like if your parent says something and it triggers you to go right back to that 12-year-old brain, and then you find yourself ruminating on that for days and days and days. How do we get out of that, right? How do we get our adult brain back online? How do we stop the downward spiral in its tracks or at least slow it down? And so I want to get into that today. And maybe you're going through a season like this, maybe not, but I think that this could be applicable on the smallest scale and then also the largest scale. I feel like if you're going through something big or something small, these steps could really help. And they're general enough, like that I think that even on a day-to-day basis, it's like making small choices like do I want to, if I have a goal, for instance, right? Like my goal is I'm trying to save money, right? And when I'm starting to downward spiral, and it always comes after me doing a really good job for like 4 weeks. I'll have like these big ambitious goals and I'll do a good job on them for about 4 weeks and then I meet my limit, right? I meet my capacity. I hit that wall. I hit that upper limit. And then I'm just like, oh, I'm tired, I'm tired and I just want to go shopping and I just want to scroll on my phone and I just want to I want to buy some things off of this Etsy shop, like which is totally not in line with my values or my goals at the time, but like, it's just a dopamine hit. I'm looking for some dopamine to make me feel better about burning out, So anyway, all that to say, let's get into the steps, okay? The steps to surviving self-sabotage, okay? You ready? Step number 1, like any classic, 12-step program, 7-step program, whatever. What's the number 1 step? Awareness every time, even in marketing. That first step in the funnel, awareness, first step in your brand to get your brand out there, awareness. Nothing happens without awareness. You're just going to keep on spinning. You're going to keep on self-sabotaging. You're going to keep on doing the things because as long as you're dissociated, there's no consequences. As long as you're out of your body and out of your mind and just distracting yourself with things, it's almost like there are no consequences at that time. And that's what makes it so attractive, right? It's like, if I don't have to think about the shit that's bothering me, because that's normally when we start downward spiraling is when we're bothered and we don't want to sit in the discomfort of being bothered. So we dissociate. In whatever way that looks like for you. For me, it looks like binge eating. Oh my God, I love a dopamine hit of like, just like last week I had like this juicy ass burger. I told you about my Sonic binge, my Sonic trips. I went to Sonic today because I didn't want to deal with the discomfort of I didn't want to show up for the show today. And instead of dealing with the discomfort and the disappointment that would have caused me, I went to Chick-fil-A, got a chicken sandwich. Guys, I'm allergic to chicken. Not allergic, but I'm sensitive to it. I'm not supposed to eat it. Went to Chick-fil-A. Sounded good. So that's like a double self-sabotage because I'm like sabotaging my intestines and I'm sabotaging myself by eating junk food, eating out because I had this savings goal. And then I got ice cream. I like tripled down on the sabotage today just so I didn't have to feel uncomfortable about choosing not to show up for the podcast. And guess what I did anyway? I showed up for the podcast because I was like, no, bitch, you don't get to dissociate, spend all that money, not do your goal, not save money, not eat well, and not show up for the podcast. Like that was too much. Like I met my self-sabotage goal. I mean, my self-sabotage limit. So I was like, I know I have to show up today or I'm literally going to crash out because this would have been the turning point. Not showing up for this podcast for me would have been me taking a hard left down the self-sabotage lane and at the fork in the road. So awareness is step 1. Okay. Now, awareness is step 1. How do we become aware? What are the signs that we are beginning to self-sabotage? What are the signs that we are beginning to downward spiral, that we are beginning to dissociate from our life, from our pain, from our discomfort, right? I put in here, what triggers it? I could tell you exactly what triggered mine. And it's kind of a bummer. And I want to trigger warning. It has to do with childhood trauma and schmexual abuse. But the last couple of weeks I feel like I've been on fire. I've been accomplishing my goals. I've been showing up for this podcast. I launched season 3. I've been doing some really cool projects at work. I've been making more money. I onboarded a new like private dance lesson client who I'm teaching hip hop to. Like I've just been I'm moving. I got someone to move in. I found somebody to rent out my house. Like so many boxes have been checked. And one conversation that I had, And mom, I love you. I'm bringing this up for just because I want to show in real time what it looks like to be triggered and what could cause this. I had one conversation with my mom about something that happened to me when I was a child. I was molested. Ugh, I know. I'm still processing it as an adult. It doesn't affect me in the same way that it did when I was younger. But basically, I was touched. I was touched inappropriately by, well, the details aren't important, but by somebody who wasn't supposed to be touching on me, you know? And I was talking with my mom about it briefly this last week, and she had revealed a detail about it. I think I was about 3 years old, so I don't have any working memory of this event, right? But my body always knew. My body always remembered and was always afraid of this person as I, continued to grow older. They were in my family, so I couldn't like. Anyway, it was a long time ago, but the details aren't important. But basically, like she brought up a new detail about it that had to do with me and how I was behaving at 3 years old. That was like really odd, and that was one of the like signals that like something was happening. Like something was happening to me by this person, and who knows how long it had been happening. And I hadn't heard that detail before. And so it kind of caught me off guard because, I've been processing this information for years, like a decade at this, more than a decade, because I knew something had happened when I was younger. I just didn't know what had happened until I was like in my 20s. So I'm 31 now. Like I've been processing this for at least a decade. And this new detail emerged. And I'm like, and again, I have no mental memory of this. But and I didn't think that I didn't think that this new detail affected me. I kind of went, oh, like I didn't know that had happened. And what's so interesting is that I didn't have the awareness last week that I have today. But what happened over the course of last week after that conversation happened is wasn't consciously thinking about what she had said. I hadn't consciously been thinking about what had happened to me, like the details of it all. But it was almost like my body was grieving again. And again, because I have no working memory of this, I can't like, it wasn't something that was obvious to me, right? And I know this is really heavy, and again, trigger warning, but listen, almost all of us have some kind of story out there from somebody at some point. Like to be alive and to be a person in the world, like statistically speaking, like all of us have been through something where our like bodily autonomy was taken from us in some way for an instant. And if that hasn't happened to you, like I am so happy for you, bro. Like it's amazing. But if it has happened, like, you could probably relate to just like this feeling of like, especially if you don't have any memories of it, I'm just like, what? Like, so last week it was like my body was sad. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I can't even really I don't even have words for it. I didn't really write this part down. I'm just sharing with you kind of like, this is how I started downward spiraling. But I didn't consciously know what was happening. But what I did notice was like, I didn't move my body. I like didn't work out. I started craving more sweet foods. I started craving more salty foods. I started making like these little micro choices that were like my house got really like really messy. I hadn't folded any of my clothes all week. Like all the signs of like early onset like depression episode were like starting to accumulate. And I was like, what is happening? I'm like, all things considered, like life is going really well right now. Like it's summer. It's my favorite time of the year. All these good things are happening. Like I'm like sitting here like thinking about it. And I sat with it and I thought about it. I said, oh my God, it was that detail. It was that detail that I didn't know about my own experience. And even though it wasn't like a freaky detail or some weird, it was just literally something about like when I was a kid in preschool, like this thing happened, like I was doing this thing and the teachers were like, oh, that's, I think that's kind of concerning, and I just didn't know that. And so I guess what had happened was in my brain, I started thinking about little me and I started feeling really sad for her again, all over again. And so, I thought about that awareness came to me, right? I sat with myself. That was like the first step of becoming aware of what was going on, is I was questioning. I was asking myself questions. I had enough, like, I talk to myself all the time. So like I have enough self-awareness to know when something isn't exactly like right. And so I was just kind of like noticing my behavior and noticing that I kept feeling worse and worse and worse, to the point where I'm like literally eating dessert every single night of the week, going to bed at 3 a.m. to where I'm like sabotaging my next day. It's just like micro sabotages left and right. So like that's step one, awareness. And that looks like asking yourself questions, like, and taking enough time to notice how you are or aren't changing, how you are or aren't showing up for yourself, how you are or aren't doing, like, taking care of your basic needs. Like there were a couple days I didn't even brush my teeth, and I'm like, what the hell is going on? Because I'm not in an era of my life where that makes to like where that those actions match where I'm at in my mental health journey at this moment. Like maybe a couple months ago when I was like still actively grieving, like in the trenches, sure, that would have made sense. But what I noticed was like, oh my God, it came from this one conversation. And I know that because that's happened before. And now I have this like pattern recognition of myself of like, oh my God, like that trigger will always be there. And I thought I worked through it and I didn't know it was going to happen again. Like that's so bizarre. So awareness is step one, right? Awareness is step one. Step one to surviving self-sabotage, awareness. Ask yourself the questions. What are the signs that you see? Write these things down, right? Write these things down. When something happens like this and you have enough wherewithal to write it down so you can remember, like, oh, when I start reaching for cherry pie, dude, I was craving cherry pie last week. What a random thing to crave. It's usually ice cream and chocolate. So I already knew something even weirder was happening with me. Like, this isn't even a normal spiral. This is like something different. That's like I was reaching for things that would comfort myself as a child. And again, I didn't even have the conscious like working memory of this. I just gave myself a second to sit and feel into what it was, and that's what my body told me. And what triggered it? It was that conversation from me being a kid, me being 3 years old. So random. What's step number 2 for surviving self-sabotage? Acceptance. Okay, we have the awareness. I'm aware of not my bad behavior, but I'm aware of my unhelpful behavior. I'm aware of my trigger. I'm aware of the fact that I'm downward spiraling. What am I going to do with that awareness? I can tell you what's not going to help. Ignoring it. Choosing to do nothing about it, or even worse, having shame. Let me ask you this. You think that shame is going to help the spiral stop? That is a choice. You could do that in theory. I bet you it's going to make it worse. So acceptance is step 2. This is my step 2. Okay. I allow myself, I become aware of what's happening. And then I do my best to accept that is true. You know, when you're on a healing journey, at least for me, like, you think that like once you've gone through it once, you're like, okay, now that's taken care of. Put that over there with all the stuff that I've accomplished and the things that I'm good at. I don't have to ever worry about that again. Yeah, that's not really how it works. I'm finding that out. So a part of this is like, when you think you're good, you think you figured out, you think, oh my God, when it comes back up, oh my God, like, am I an idiot? Am I stupid? Am I like bad at this? I thought I already did this. I thought I already aced this test. I thought I already grieved this grief. And the shame and the guilt of whatever that is, like, that's not gonna help. It's just gonna make you feel worse. Like, you're having a feeling and then you're gonna feel ashamed of having a feeling. No, your feelings are your feelings because they have a utility. Emotions aren't just this thing that appear and disappear. They are there for a utility. They are there to signal to you that something is happening, that something needs attention, that something inside of you needs to be expressed and needs to be seen and heard. And in order to do those things, you have to get curious, which is a part of the awareness. And then you also have to accept that it's true. If you sit here and gaslight yourself, like, I don't know, that's not happening. I don't still feel bad about that thing. That thing doesn't still trigger me. Like, that's not happening. That's not happening. When you gaslight yourself like a toxic boyfriend, that's not gonna help you. You're gonna feel less seen, less heard, less accepted. And when we feel those feelings, it makes us feel bad. At least it makes me feel bad. Maybe I can't speak for everybody. You're right. You're right. Let me not project. But when I try to deny what's true for me, that downward spiral starts speeding up with a quickness, okay? And I would guess that happens to you too. So acceptance of what is true for you is paramount at this stage in if you were trying to work through this upper limit problem, this trigger, this whatever it is. You have the awareness of it, and then you accept that it's true. And when you kind of switch your brain to think of, like, when your body is signaling to you that something is wrong, it's not trying to hurt you. Like, your emotions are not here to, like, attack you and make you feel bad. Your emotions are here as your body's intelligent way of letting you know that something needs attention, right? The same thing happens like when people get cancer, when people get any kind of dis-ease, is your body doing its best to let you know that something is wrong, that something needs attention, and it's doing its best to try to fix it, right? Like, the reason why it takes you so long to develop cancer is because your body is working overtime to try to attack the thing, so that you don't have to worry about it. But what happens is, like, it mutates, it puts all of its energy into one thing, and then it mutates, and then it ends up hurting you in the end. But it's not for lack of trying. It tried to get your attention and you ignored it, I feel like 9 times out of 10, our bodies are screaming at us 15 years before the disease even pops up, right? Autoimmune disease all comes from trauma. Every single one comes from repressed emotions, because our emotions are there to be expressed. Our emotions are there to be felt, to be embodied, right? And I didn't realize last week that I was triggered, that I was having this feeling of this embodied grief. But I wasn't embodying it. My body was just feeling it, and I was ignoring it because it made me uncomfortable. Because I didn't really know what it was. And then by the time I sat with it to become aware of it, to allow it to speak to me, I said, oh shit. This is a type of grief that lives inside of me that will never go away. It might get smaller, and I also my capacity to hold it might get bigger. I might get stronger. My strength might increase, the longer I hold it. I don't think it ever goes away though. I just kind of, sometimes I just get so strong, I kind of hold it over here, I set it down, or I look it at the shelf. But it's like when I'm not paying attention to it, it doesn't affect me as much. But it was something about that new detail that got me. And so I had to accept that was true for me. I'm still accepting that is true for me. That pain is never going to not be a part of me. That experience is a part of me. It is a part of the accumulation of who Cara is. Cara is built off the backs of all the experiences that I've had, including that one. That is a part of my story. It's a part of how I am the way I am, how I process what I process, and that it needed to be felt. It needed to be recognized. And instead, I was like, oh, let me eat. Let me get that dopamine hit from food, because that's what I need to feel good in this moment, right? And because it took me back to this place of when I was a child, because that's how I used to cope with things when I was a child. That's why I was a chubby child. Food, the dopamine from food helped in my own twisted way feel better. As an adult, I know that it didn't actually help, on like this like foundational level. But at the time, that was my maladaptive coping mechanism, because I didn't know what I was feeling. I didn't know what was happening. I just knew on this like soul level that like what happened to me like didn't feel good, So I accept that that grief still lives here. And I accept that it's there for a reason and it wants to be felt. And I'm even now I'm like slowly integrate I'm trying to get back into some of my like more healthy routines that help me embody that grief and to feel it so that it can be expressed and I can let it go. It was a wave. And sometimes the things that we get stuck in for months could be solved with a little bit of acceptance. And so that they can just wash over us and wash through us so we can keep moving on. But instead, we dissociate from them for so long. And then that becomes our whole life. And that creates a whole other slew of problems when we're just sad girl central our entire lives. So that's step 2, acceptance. Give yourself a little bit of grace. The questions I ask, I said, what if I listened to my mind? What if I listened to my body? What if I honored the information that my mind and body were trying to tell me? What if instead of resenting my feelings, resenting my emotions, resenting my thought patterns, resenting my grief and the signals that my body's giving me, what if I said, "Oh, hello. What are you doing here? Oh, come on in. Like the water's warm. I will create space for you to live here. We are all here trying to figure it out together. I'm not gonna just leave you you're banging on the door talking about I need help, and I'm just like just pretending like everything's fine and dandy. No. I welcome that. I welcome the full spectrum of human emotion. I welcome the full spectrum of being alive. Like, I think that is why we are here. I think that is the whole point. And so I accept that experience, the good, bad, the ugly. And if it is true for me, I want to accept that truth, right? Step number 1 of surviving self-sabotage, awareness. Step number 2, acceptance. Step number 3, inquiry, right? I know it might sound kind of redundant because we're asking questions throughout the whole process, but the inquiry is important because it's like, okay, curiosity cannot happen where rejection lives, right? How many of us have been on dates where like the person across from us, total lack of curiosity, like total lack of like, they can't even accept you for who you are because they're like so self-centered and so self-indulged. Like they're not even 15 feet from inquiry. They're just like in their own bubble. And how annoying is that? How frustrating is that? How like, oh, that like builds so much resentment. And just like, I'm literally right here, And I feel like that's how our grief and our upper limits and our triggers feel. Like, I'm literally right here and you're ignoring me. Yeah, go ahead and keep eating that food, girl. That's going to solve your problem. When I literally have the answer right here, And that kind of is what it feels like, I feel like our body has the answers. Or like, I'm telling you what's wrong and you keep ignoring me. And that's really lame. Like, you're out here, racking your brain like, what's the answer? What's the answer? What's wrong with me? Bitch, I would let you know if you would just sit for a second and pay attention. Anyway, sorry. I'm on one. Step 3, inquiry, right? The question here, what is my body, mind trying to communicate to me? What is it asking for? So this is the part where it's like, okay, I'm aware of this upper limit. I'm aware of this problem. I'm aware that the sabotage is literally trying to come for my life. I accept that that's true. I accept that I've reached my capacity. I accept that I'm triggered. I accept that this is an upper limit. I accept that I have a worthiness wound. I accept that I don't feel like I'm deserving of this thing, right? I accept that. What is this limit trying to tell me about myself? Right? And I kind of answered that in like what I just said, like, because sometimes it's trying to tell you that, oh, I got a worthiness wound. Oh, I've got a belief that I'm not capable. I've got like something, I've got this trigger from my childhood. Oh, there's grief there. Oh, what is my mind body trying to communicate to me? What is it asking for? And so this is where the inquiry is, where it's like, okay, what can I do about it? It's like, okay, you've shown me what's wrong. What do you need to feel better? Right? What is the medicine? And I think that actually gets into like the next step. So it's like inquiry. What is my body and my mind trying to tell me? Is it trying to tell me that I'm uncomfortable? Is it trying to tell me that I have reached an upper limit? Are these behaviors, because sometimes you don't have that conscious awareness. Like, I have this conscious awareness because I've been doing this shit for half a decade at this point, right? I have been asking myself these freaking annoying ass questions for half a decade more, actually, because I have this deep desire to live a better life. Like I don't want to be a slave to my triggers. I don't want to be a slave to my binge eating, my disordered eating. I don't want to be a slave to anything. I want to be free. And I feel like true freedom is knowing thyself, like know thyself so that you can do something about it, right? You can make a different choice. You can be empowered to take care of yourself. If you don't know what's wrong, how do you know how to solve the problem? How do you know how to nurture yourself, right? And that's where the inquiry comes in. Step three is inquiry. It's like, what is it that I need right now, right? Do I need some more acceptance? Do I need some more alone time? Do I need to sit and feel? What is it that I need, right? And this brings us into step 4, which is nurture. So we become aware, we accept what's happening, we accept that we're sabotaging ourselves. We inquire of why we're sabotaging ourselves. What is happening? Like, why am I doing these things? And then the nurture is, how can I nurture myself in this time of need? What is the medicine I need in this moment or season? So the inquiry is like, why is this happening? The nurture is actually asking what's going to help. And I know I kind of combined those two together. They're similar, but different. And again, you could do all of these in like a totally different order. This is just the order that I think things can kind of naturally happen. But what is the medicine, right? I kind of went through this a couple weeks ago where I was like, I'm looking for freedom medicine. There's something in me that needed freedom medicine, and the action I needed to take on that to nurture this not scarcity wound, but like to nurture this desire that I had was like, I needed to make a plan to move in with my family, to create more abundance in my life, to open up my home, to make me a little bit more money. Like these are steps I could take to nurture myself in that way, to get me closer to freedom medicine. And also like the freedom of my mind, releasing myself from the shackles of scarcity mindset and trusting that the things that I desire they are on their way to me, you know? And this week, the nurturing that I needed coming out of this, awareness and acceptance of this trigger and this inquiry of like, why is this happening? The medicine that came through for me is like, oh my God, like I just needed to sit with myself a little bit. I just needed to sit and tell myself that I'm okay again. This is something I've done over and over and over and over again. And, I like to think like me, grown up Cara, I get to keep growing. I get to keep making new memories. I get to keep, parenting myself in a new way. I get to keep transforming. But little me, 3-year-old me, she's always going to be 3. Ooh, that kind of got me a little bit. 3-year-old me is always going to be 3-year-old me. There's nothing that I, adult Cara, who gets to continue ebbing and flowing and growing, can do about that. There's no solution. There's no fixing what happened to me. I can never take the terror that little me felt from her. That wound will always be there. What I can do is, instead of ignoring that hurt and ignoring that grief and disassociating it from me because adult me doesn't want to deal with the discomfort of it, what I can do is I can take a second and I can talk to little me. And this leads into like step 5, which is embodiment, right? I can talk to little me and I can feel her feelings and I can tell her it's going to be okay because we're okay and I got her. And this is where reparenting yourself comes in, right? And this is where the embodiment piece of the healing comes in. And I feel like now's a good time. Like I'm going to show you what it looks like when I talk to my younger self. Because you can talk to the teen version of yourself. You can talk to the yourself who existed last week. You could talk to yourself in any way. in any version of yourself, I feel like this is helpful. Okay. I'm going to give you an example of this is literally exactly how I spoke to myself when, a couple days ago when I realized that I had been ignoring this discomfort and this wound, right? I had been like dissociating it from it by not getting any sleep. Like I was avoiding sleep because I was afraid I was gonna have nightmares. You know what I mean? Like it's crazy. By like avoiding all the things that nurture me and nurture my soul and help little Cara feel alive and safe, which looks like getting a good night's rest, eating healthy, nutritious food. Like I stopped taking care of me. So I stopped taking care of her. And this is exactly the way that I talk to her. Okay. Whether it's literally in the mirror looking at myself, or just closing my eyes, going to this like younger version of myself place and like saying things like, I'm like, this is so vulnerable. Oh my God, why am I doing this? This is crazy. This is me talking to my little self. And maybe you want to close your eyes and hear this message for your little you. I hope that it serves as an example of like, it might be cringy and you might feel so awkward and weird, but I'm telling you, like, nobody looks up to you the way that the little version of yourself does. Like the little version of you looks up to you like you are God, like you are the parent, like you are the one taking care of them, you know? And I just like told myself, I was like, listen, like what happened to you sucks. It's weird. It sucks. It has complicated your adult life in ways that you could have never anticipated, or my adult life. I'm like, but I love you. I love you so much. And I need to tell you that like you don't have to worry about that anymore. And it happened. And this new detail it makes me feel so sad for you all over again. But you are such a cool fucking little kid, and you did not deserve that. And that will never happen to you ever again. And I'm so sorry that it happened to you at all. And I'm going to do everything in my power to take care of you. I'm sorry I've been ignoring you. I'm sorry I haven't been sleeping, and I haven't been feeding us good food, and I haven't been working out. I give myself grace as an adult, but I also want to do better for both of us. I feel what you feel. I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you. It's an incredibly emotional experience talking to the small version of yourself in general. But if you can have like the courage to go in and like talk to the version of you who went through something really hard and triggering and fucked up, that's the thing that's changed my life. I've got my hand on my heart because it's just like it feels protective, but also just like I feel like it's important to show what it looks like to actually have these conversations. Like when I say talk to your inner child, I literally mean that. Most of the time, the inner child that I'm talking to, she's about 5 years old. But this one is even younger, and I feel like it's even deeper inside of me. It's even harder to reach because I don't have memories from that time. I don't like so many crazy, insane things happened to 3-year-old me that I don't even remember. But like, it's deeply embedded in my body, in my fascia, in my soul, in my throat. Like that's my throat right now. The somatic experience that I'm having right now is like my throat is tight. And that right there, that tightness in my throat is an old, old wound of feeling like I couldn't speak up for myself. Or like I literally didn't have the words to be able to protect myself or to scream or to, oh man. This is why I've been dissociating for a week, is because it's a hurt that is so, 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 so deep inside of me that to feel it in its entirety would be really uncomfortable. And we sometimes as adults we have lives to live and we have shit to do, and we don't have the quote unquote time to sit with ourselves and to feel our feelings. But let me tell you something. There's nothing more important than that. There's nothing more important in the world than sitting with your truth and feeling your feelings, bro. And to be honest with you, I don't think I've let myself cry over it until right now. And I'm a big fat crier. Oh my gosh. So that is the nurture. That is step 4. And then the embodiment, step 5, right? The embodiment, what modalities can I use to express and feel what needs to be felt? And then I also said, in what ways can I recognize how amazing it is? Sorry, no. What modalities can I use to express and feel what needs to be felt? That is the embodiment, right? My modality that I use is talking to my inner child. That is the modality that works for me. Like sitting, being present with me and all the versions of me that need my attention. Whichever version of me needs my attention. It could be the future version of me who needs me to have a little bit more courage. I haven't done that work yet. I need to look into that. But a lot of it is like when these old maladaptive behaviors pop up is usually when I've met my capacity. And then I need some presence, connection. I need some presence. I need some connection. I need to feel into my body where this stuff lives. My throat, bro. It is not a coincidence that me being a big freaking yapper is a thing. Like, you will hear me. I will be heard because I spent years silenced by fear, you know? And not even about that one incident, just in general, just being a woman, being a young girl, being a young adult. Like, there are so many things about our culture and our society and the patriarchy and capitalism that, like, reasons to keep me quiet, you know, to make me feel small. And I just fucking refuse, bro. There are still things that I'm working on in my life today that I'm just like, why am I being so fucking small? I could be so big. I could be so audacious. And there's still these little things that come up. These little, I reach those upper limits because they come from a place deep down, from a place long ago that I'm like, this is not relevant to me anymore, but it's relevant to that version of me. And that version of me needs attention. It needs the love. I need to give that version of me grace and love and attention. I need to give that version of me all the things that I didn't get from the people around me in the way that I needed. And there are some things that nobody can give me. It wouldn't matter if I got a million of those things from other people. Who I need it from is me. I need it from me. I'm the only one who can love on that spot. I'm the only one who could ever even know that spot exists, bro. So that's step 4 and 5, nurturing gratitude of surviving self-sabotage. Step 6 is the healing. Oh, sorry. Step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Step 6 is gratitude. Okay. And this, I kind of spoke to this a little bit earlier, but gratitude, I say, how can I thank my body for its intelligence? In what ways can I recognize how amazing it is that my body can show me where I'm hurting so I can heal it? And I spoke about this, a couple minutes ago. Like, I am so grateful that my body does all these weird, funky things to let me know that something's wrong, right? Like, she will, like, let me dissociate. Like, I mean, it's like you can look at it in 2 different ways. Like, my body will let me dissociate and, like, keep me, and she will protect me from this pain. She's like, okay, you don't want to feel it? I got you. Don't worry. I will dissociate. I will binge eat the food. I will binge watch the TV. Everything that I do to make me feel better, it always comes like as this, like, it always comes in like a mass, you know? It's never something small. I do not deal with my problems by, like, doing less. I do so much more. I burn myself out. I watch too much TV. I eat too much food. Like, I gorge myself to try to fill the gaping hole inside of me. And even though I've done a pretty good job of, like, loving that hole inside of me and actually, like, shrinking it for the most part, like, or having a greater capacity to, like, to house it, and I integrate it as a part of me. When I'm not doing that, girl, she be hungry. She be insatiable, okay? And thank God I never turned to sex to fill that gaping, that deep wound inside of me, because that would not have been good for me. It would have been scary. But but yeah, like it's just like how what did I say? I said, how can I thank my body for its intelligence, for her intelligence, for his intelligence? Like she knows things about me way before my mind catches up, you know? And it's funny too, like, like I've been learning a lot about traditional Chinese medicine and just how our life force energy flows through our body. Like they call it the qi, you know? That's why they do Tai Chi. It helps you manipulate and move your life force energy. Um, which is important for circulation and just literally everything. If your chi is blocked in any part of your body, like it manifests there. Like that blockage manifests as like illness, injury, whatever. And what's funny is like all last week, the left side of my body, I've been experiencing all of this weird discomfort. Like my sty on my left eye is getting bigger. I've literally stubbed my pinky toe. I'm pretty sure I've broken my pinky toe twice in the last 2 months in different places. Like it hurts to walk on my left foot. I have this weird clicking in my left hip. Like the whole left side of my face the last week, like I've looked more wrinkly than my right side. And I'm like, what is going on? And my left side of my body, apparently your left side of your body is your masculine side? I don't know. I don't know if it's your feminine or masculine, but it was just so interesting, like why it's all manifesting on the left side. And I can't remember when I looked it up, but there was a reason. It had something to do with like what I've been talking about as a child and like what I experienced, like, sexual trauma, whatever. But I'm like, how genius is my body? Like while I'm dissociating, she's still leaving me hints of like, you got to look at this. Hey, here's a weird little symptom I'm going to give you so you can look at this, And she's incredibly patient with me. Like, oh my God, like it will take her decades to develop a disease, before if I continue down this dissociation path. I'm like, oh my God, like nobody else in my life is that patient with me. And she will work tirelessly to let me know that something is wrong. And I'm so grateful for the intelligence of my body. I'm so grateful for my awareness, for my acceptance of self, for my ability to inquire. My mind, is a part of my body. They call it the mind body for a reason. They are not separate, I'm so grateful for this whole process, like to be able to ask myself what it is that I need and for my body to tell me what it is and for me to have the courage and the capacity to act on that need, which usually takes less work, less actual mental, physical energy to show up for myself than it does to go out and dissociate. Like the amount of money I spent on food last week, the amount of like gas I spent driving to those places, the amount of like attention I gave all these other people which took a whole lot more energy. This is the paradox of it all, than it did for me to just sit here for 5.5 seconds and tell myself that I'm okay. I just spent a week not, making progress on my goals, dissociating from this like deep hurt when all I had to do was just sit and be present with myself and to love myself and to ask myself what I needed. So gratitude to me is that what is it? One, two, three, four, five. Yeah, the 6th step. And then the 7th step, lucky number 7, is that's when the healing happens, right? That is when all those things come together and you feel the feelings, you drop into your body from your head, you allow yourself to become present, and you sit with yourself. And you allow whatever comes up to come up and to express itself. Like for me, the expression came up as tears. It came up as a tight throat. Somatically speaking, it came up as, tears welled up in my face. My whole body got a little bit warmer. But before I sat with myself and got present, when I'm dissociated, I'm not living in the present moment. I'm living in the future. I'm living in the past. I'm living everywhere but here and now. And the healing happens here and now. You can only heal here and now. You can't heal there or there. You can change how you perceive here and there by being present in the here and now. And so I said capacity, healing happens when your capacity expands, right? And you can only do that when you sit in presence with yourself, right? What we do when we're dissociating and we're avoiding and we meet our upper limits and we're uncomfortable is that is our capacity letting us know like there's no more room. right? That is our body is signaling to us there's no more room here with the tools and awareness that you have in this current moment. But once you get present and you sit and you you turn the sorry, oh my god, my words. The chatter in your head turns off because what once you're thinking, you're not in the present anymore. But once if you can sit, and it takes practice, it takes work, right? That's why looking in the mirror is so powerful because you're like, whoa. You feel like you enter a different like portal of time. You're like, I am looking at this person looking at me, and this person is me, and that person is you, and that's also me. Like it's very weird. It's like looking at yourself in the mirror, I feel like makes me be present way faster. Um, but that's where the healing begins. That's where as when you drop into your body, when you drop into the present moment, that is where you can feel what you need to feel. And in that acceptance and in that presence and in that love, that awareness, that love, that power, that energy, that is what expands your capacity, right? Is the acceptance of what's true. It's the inquiring, it's the curiosity. It's like you're like, I see this, I hear this, I know this, I accept this, I love this. I love every single piece of me, and I love every single piece of this. If this is true for me, I'm going to love it. I'm going to transmute this. And that is what increases your capacity, is when you can just create a little bit more space around this wound, a little bit more space between you and the reaction to the thing. So a little bit that is how we increase capacity. It's not like this big wide gape, like what am I even trying to think? What's the word I'm looking for? Gape? No. Like that, it's like you can't, it doesn't happen overnight. It's just a little bit of space at a time. Every time something like this comes up and you have the courage to sit and to nurture and to love, it creates a little bit more space around it. A little bit more space every single time, a little bit. And that's what I've been doing with this instance for myself, this trigger, this piece of history for myself over the years, is I've created more space around it. So it's not so fresh. It's not this like bleeding out wound. It's just like it's like scar tissue. And whenever it gets poked at, I'm like, ooh, ah. It doesn't hurt. It just feels uncomfortable. Like scar, if you ever had scar tissue, it's like when you rub on it, it's just like, oh, it just feels a little bit like weird. And in that dissociation period when I'm avoiding it, it's like I'm like trying to I'm like doing all the things to avoid it, but all I needed to do was just like sit with it and allow it to feel weird. It's like, no, yep, this is weird. And I accept that it's weird. And I recognize that it's weird. And that's true, you know? And you know what? That's a weird thing that could be a part of me for the rest of my life. And I love that about me. I love that for me, you know? Is it great? No, but it's true. And I accept that it's true. And and it is what it is, you know? So the healing happens when capacity expands where attention lands. And I was like, that's pretty good. It's the attention, the presence that like it's like as soon as you give, this is the thing that I've discovered, and I am a trained uh somatic practitioner. I went to school for it. I'm a certified health coach. I'm a certified somatic practitioner. And the thing that I learned in my own experience and also in leading these experiences for others is that the big bad boogeyman in our lives, as soon as you turn the lights on and look at it, it's literally just a pile of dust in the corner. But like in the night, in the dark, you look at it, so it's so big and scary, you can't make it out, and you're like, ah, you get under the covers and you're like, ah, the boogeyman's here, and then you turn that light on, it's just your cat, you know. It just wanted attention. I actually had this dream. This is reminding me of a dream I had. I had this dream once. It was a scary dream, trigger warning. But it should have been a scary dream. Only I wasn't afraid of my dream. I just know that it should have been objectively scary. And basically, like, this little gremlin was like trying to get my attention, like, and they were like so ugly looking. They looked like Schmeagol. No, what's his name? The guy from Lord of the Rings, the little shriveled up old dude. I cannot remember his name. You guys are gonna roast me in the comments, I'm sure. But um, the little demon looked like that. It looked like the My Precious guy, and it was so ugly and had shriveled up skin, and it was just like it was like trying to get my attention, and I was kind of freaked out by it at first. And I was running away from it in my house, and it was chasing me. And then, like, for whatever reason, in my dream, I just turned to it and I was like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, and I'm telling you, in the dream, this little shriveled up little demon thing, it like rehydrated, like it just like rehydrated into this beautiful, gorgeous girl. And she was like, "Oh my God." She was like, "Oh my God, I just needed some attention." And then she was like, "I have so much to tell you. Like, thank God you saw me and recognized me." She was like, "You can see me?" I was like, "Yes." And she took me on this like whole adventure across the universe. I have dreams like this all the time, right? Like I'm always people and things are always speaking to me in dream form. And what I got from that dream was like, "Oh my God, love is the answer." All that little demon wanted was a little bit of love and a little bit of curiosity and a little bit of presence, right? And the same thing happens in my in the somatic experiences that I lead and I coach people through. It's almost like as soon as you give that, like the thing in my throat, right? As soon as I gave it attention, that it was tight, it softened. How fascinating is that? And I've had clients and friends be like, as soon as they had a prickly, they felt like this prickly thing in their stomach. They're like, "Oh, it doesn't feel good. I don't know what that is." And then you ask this person to describe it. Like, does it have a color? Does it have a name? Does it have a texture? And they describe, "Oh, it's prickly. Oh, it's black. It's shiny. It's kind of like tar." And then you ask them, 2 minutes later, is that feeling still there? And they go, "Yeah, but it doesn't feel as overwhelming." And it's like, right. The attention is the medicine, right? The presence is the medicine. That's where the healing happens, right? So in here I also said the more you practice these steps, the shorter the time becomes between awareness and healing. So for me, this last, bout of dissociation that, I think in me doing this episode and talking it through, I think I'm coming to the end of it. I think this is it. I think this is like me wrapping it up. Like I've processed it. I know it's there and I can keep it moving. I've expressed it. I've recognized that it's happening. Little me is like very happy that I'm like locked back in. I showed up for this podcast and that told her everything she needed to know. Like my capacity is back online, right? And so for this whole journey for me, it was about a week, about a week. And it was also the week before I started my period. So like you can imagine how much harder it was for me to like stop that like downward spiral because my hormones are like working against me too. Like they want the food, they want the dopamine, like, my hormones are all fluctuated. So like the more you do this work, the shorter that period becomes. So this took me about a week, right? A week and some change. In the past, this would have taken me weeks, months, years. I mean, all things considered, I didn't find out about this thing that happened to me till I was like 20 years old. So that a lot of my 20, like from 3 to 20, I have a lot of missing memories because my body was dissociating to protect myself. It was always busy, always preoccupied, always daydreaming, always talking, always busy, always doing activities, always doing events, right? Like there's a lot of my childhood I do not remember. I don't remember a lot of college. Because then once I started drinking, well, that's a dissociation station right there. Yeah. And it's like totally a part of culture. Like totally got away with it. Like overeating in college, right. That's just a part of the culture. Over drinking in college, right. That's just a part of the culture. Like I totally took advantage of those things. So I like, you could say that that first round of dealing with that thing could have been 20 years. And then once I was aware of it and I did the first round of grief, that was a couple more years. And then, maybe I got triggered by it again and that was like a couple of months. And then it was a couple of weeks. And then, and then now here I am. I can't remember the last time I was triggered by this, probably years ago. And it was like it took me a week. And I'm saying that now as if like it's over. Like I don't know. I don't know. This could linger for a little bit longer, but now I know the steps I need to take to help break that downward spiral, to help slow it down and then reverse it back up, right? I love the spiral because that's exactly what it feels like. It feels like a downward and upward spiral, like which means that there's never a start and stop. You can always reverse it. Like nothing is ever going to be so bad that you can't do things to help yourself. Like I want these steps to feel empowering to you, because they are. And they don't have to be these big sweeping things that you do. Like, okay, I'm better now. It's like, no, like you could do these in micro steps, right? Because anything is better than nothing, right? You could have something you could have a whole life of trauma that you want to just like get away from, but it doesn't mean that those things don't still affect you. Like, you don't have to sit, I don't believe that you have to sit here and go through like every single second of your life to heal from the things that you've been through. That's why I love somatics so much, is because it's body mind focused. It's not based on story, right? It's like, where is this in my body and what do I need to feel? I don't need the story to feel what's in my body. I literally don't have the memory of what happened to me as a kid. I literally don't have the story. I don't have the memory, but my body has the memory. And so it's like, and that's all I know. And that's really all the information I need to heal it, to feel better, is to sit with that and just accept that it's true, and try to give myself whatever she needs in that moment, whether it's presence, whether it's, I mean, like, not like presence gifts, but like presence of attention, or love, or patience, or courage, or whatever it is. Like, that is what helps me heal. And whenever if I can give myself that quicker, great. And I find that the more I practice it, the easier and better I get at it, And this is me practicing, because I haven't done it in a while. I haven't had to in a while, because things have been going really well lately. But then here I am meeting a bunch of other upper limits, and then this thing happens, and my capacity totally depletes, The last thing I said in here was like, this is the more you practice these steps, the shorter the time becomes between awareness and healing, or awareness and gratitude. That is how you heal. The triggers and wounds don't disappear. Our attention just becomes sharper and more attuned. Our heart softens, our avoidance shrinks, and we develop more trust in ourselves every time we take the time to inquire, nurture, and get into our bodies to feel and heal our most sensitive bits that just need a little more love. And that's what I believe. And I really do think that all of the somatic stuff, all the self-help, all the therapy, like, at the end of the day, I think awareness, acceptance, some love, some attention, some presence with self, like, that is, I believe, if you distill it all down, that's the medicine, bro. And there are all kinds of medicines, but I think that is like the one that goes the deepest and doesn't just put a Band-Aid on things, but truly, truly creates this environment of like deep somatic healing. So those are my 7 steps. And 7, I don't know if y'all know this, but it's my favorite number. It's my lucky number. And that's what I got. Those are my steps, my 7 steps for surviving self-sabotage. You need a little bit of awareness. Accept the things that you're becoming aware of as true for you. Don't avoid it. Don't be ashamed of them. If it's true, accept that it's true, because you can't do anything if you keep denying it. There is no helping anything if you're just going to gaslight yourself. And then inquire, what is my body trying to tell me? And then nurture, what does my body need? Like, right? Like, what does it need in this season? What is it trying to tell me? What does it need? What is going to help? And then embody, what tools can I use to fulfill this need? What tools and modalities can I use to drop from my head into my heart space, into my body, to feel my feelings, to allow the things to come up, right? That's a part of the acceptance. Accepting what is true also includes accepting and allowing yourself to go to those places, those deep, dark places and spaces. Because at the end of the day, adult you has way more understanding of nuance, right? And like, whereas like little you, maybe not. I mean, and even like, maybe it's not little you, maybe it's like just a wounded version of yourself. Like, allow yourself to accept that like there are parts of you that feel deeply unworthy. That's okay. You can still accomplish a great deal of things with a feeling of unworthy. You are still worthy of love, even though you don't think so, But it's in the attention, is in giving attention to those wounds where you can heal that, and you can speak life and love into those bits and pieces of you and say, actually, I know that this worthiness wound served me for some reason, because all of our wounds serve us for some reason. I mean, unless something happened to you, like what I'm speaking to, but in terms of our beliefs, right? Those beliefs protected us somehow. Like they kept us safe in some in some way, shape, or form. Because, and also like they were like given to us, right? So maybe I take back the safe thing. I had a point to that. I just can't think of it. So take everything I'm saying with a grain of salt. Um, there's a lot. My like mind is like swirling around in circles. But my point is, read The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks. It's a really easy read, but it's just like it talks about the upper limit and the core beliefs that cause them, and the medicine. Part of the medicine of transforming those is like you have to recognize how your maladaptive behaviors have been serving you before, and accept that they are serving you in some way before you can change them, right? And if you go in and you talk to those bits of you that have these core beliefs without the presence and awareness, like you're not gonna get nowhere, you know? So anyway, those are my 7 steps to self-sabotage. Those are the steps that I take to help myself to build. And it's like you might be asking, well, why would I do all these things? You would do all these things if you want to live a more authentic life. If you want to have more freedom over your thoughts, feelings, actions, if you want to feel empowered in your person, if you want to feel lighter, more at peace, and if you want to experience more love for self and for others, that all takes capacity. And if you have spent your whole life shrinking and shrinking and shrinking and shrinking, your capacity is like nothing, which means that hardship is going to be harder. Even if it's helpful, like when you don't have capacity, it's like you don't have capacity for good, bad, ugly, or great. You need capacity for everything in order to feel alive and happy and healthy. Like this is just true. I would, if you feel alive, happy, and healthy without capacity while dissociating and feeling burnt out, leave a comment. I would love to know what kind of special alien breed you are, because I have yet to discover one person who is thriving, who isn't like doing the work, So I'll leave you with that. Yeah. Awareness, acceptance, inquiry, nurture, embodiment. What was the other one? Oh, gratitude, healing. 7 steps to surviving self-sabotage. Okay, come on, alliteration. And as always, I am saying this to you because I'm saying it to me. This is the medicine that I will be taking. And I've been taking it in times when I've needed it, and I will continue taking it. And I feel like every time I do this work, and every time I will, and you know what, full transparency, like when I feel myself beginning to go through something, I will let myself go there. I will let myself feel pitiful. I will let myself, at first eat the sweet treats, indulge, because I don't want to shame myself into like, oh, well, I shouldn't be eating ice cream. Oh, I should be healthier. That's part of the acceptance piece. It's like, no, I'm not feeling good. These things help me for now. And I am giving myself like, I set a boundary for myself. I'm like, okay, after day 3, if I still want these things, all right, something's happening. And I need to go inward, and I need to like feel my feelings and figure it out. And that's what I'm doing. That's what I've been doing the last couple days. So I hope that encourages you. I hope that empowers you. The energy is weird. And I want to leave you on a positive note, which is for my astrology girlies and brodies. I'm going to call you brodies, my brethren. Tomorrow is a Cancer, or today when this episode comes out, it is a new moon in Cancer. And I'm a Cancer rising, right? And Cancer is ruled by the moon. So like the moon is so happy in Cancer. And so I want to leave you with just like, new moons are all about manifesting. Full moons are all about like illumination and letting go of the things that like didn't work. And new moons are all about planting seeds and starting anew and manifesting. And this is going to be, kind of the last time it makes sense to manifest until after eclipse season is over, which is in September. So I want to encourage you, like, I'm actually something that I was going to talk about at the top of the show, but I kind of got carried away, was I heard there's a comedian that I follow named Caleb Herring. Oh God, I hope his last name is Herring. I think that's right. Anyway, he's like famous, whatever. So funny. I listened to his podcast, and he's doing this thing called Caleb 75 Caleb. And I was like, you know what? I've been so down bad the last, week, the last week for sure, but the last couple of weeks, I've been in a liminal space, and the last week kind of like did me in, especially on my period. Like I bled on Saturday. Like it was just like, what is, everything kind of came to a head. And even on today's show, like this was like a make or break point for me, energetically. And I'm glad that I showed up, and I'm glad that I shared. And I hope that you got something out of it. But, he was talking about this 75 Caleb, and I was like, you know what? Using this Cancer new moon energy. I'm going to do a 75 Cara. And basically, he just made these rules that he wanted to follow for 75 days. And I'm going to do that too. Like, it's not going to be this like super hard. Like the 75 hard is like, two 45-minute workouts. One has to be outside, eating, keeping to this like specific diet. That's not what 75 Cara is going to be for me. 75 Cara for me is going to look like showing up for all the rituals that make me feel like me every day for 75 days. Because I have developed these rituals, and admittedly, I don't do them consistently every day. And I give myself grace for that, because I'm like, this is my lifestyle, and I trust myself to to continue it, even if, I miss a day or whatever. But I really want to use this like powerful energy, which Cancer is the mother, right? Cancer is the mother archetype. She is caring. She is wild. She's protective. She's fierce. She is, she's so incredibly nurturing. And I have that in me. Like that is a part of the trajectory of the life that I'm moving towards. And it's part of this podcast. It's part of me sharing, the things that are working and aren't working. And so I want to encourage you to do your own like 75, whoever you are. And I'm going to write down 7, because I love 7. I'm going to write down 7 like little ritual tasks, whatever you want to call them, things that I want to do every single day. And hold myself accountable to that. And I think the thing for me is like softness and gentleness and grace are a big part of my journey. Like building capacity in the everyday is a big part of my journey, because I tend to go really hard or like not at all. And last week was a not at all week. And I really just want to see what happens when I do something. I show up for something every day and I do it gradually. Like I want to see what happens for me. Like I actually need to do a 75 Cara that is like more like a 75 soft, like what does it look like to do my 20-20-20 every day, which is, if you want to go watch my other video where I talk about, that is the ritual that I do to get myself back on track, to like hack myself back on track. And it's 20 minutes learning, 20 minutes writing, 20 minutes sweating every day. That's going to be on my list. It's going to be probably adding in another 20 minutes of my Spanish lessons every day. It'll look like me cooking all my meals, cooking every day. It's eating nourishing food that's like high protein, high fiber, and eating. I'm like, and in that I'll be like, and I have to eat a vegetable with every meal. I have not been eating a lot of vegetables lately, and I know that I need them back in my diet. So I'm going to think about it, and I'll keep you all posted, but I'm going to start tomorrow with my 75 Cara, or today. Sorry, it's Tuesday, on this full moon. This is what I'm manifesting, because I know that in this next season of my life, gentleness, grace, and devout consistency, not burnout, not extremes, but just showing up for myself, having the audacity to create every day and to just be myself, that is going to be part of my list. That's probably going to be number 7. Do something audacious, one audacious thing every day, which could look like me recording and uploading a ukulele video, singing on the internet. It could look like anything, but it has to be something creative where I'm not consuming. That's also going to be on my list. So yeah, I encourage you to like, maybe this work is a part of your list. Maybe like checking in with yourself once a day from like a somatic perspective, like a body scan, or, where am I at mentally? What do I need today? What is the medicine? Maybe you do take up the 20-20-20 habit and add that to your 75 challenge. But, a lot of times when I do a challenge, I kind of give up about halfway because I go too hard, too fast. And I think this, for me, I'm already doing these things pretty consistently, but I really want to see what happens and report back because I love an experiment. I want to report back like how it actually, what does it look like when I really do choose to live my life differently every day, when I show up for myself every day in these ways. Like, how does my psychology change? How does my body change? How does my relationship to self change? How do I show up for my friends differently? Because y'all need to know something. Like, when I say I'm going to do something, like, if I half-ass about it, yeah, I'm gonna half-ass it, but I did a no sugar challenge. I did not eat processed cane sugar for 285 days, and my body totally radically changed. And then something happened on like day 286. I had sugar and I've been struggling with it ever since. Like, I was trying to kick it like an addiction, and I fell back into it like every addict does. And so that's also gonna be part of my 75 Cara is no more added sugar. Yeah, and I'll report back. So yeah, that is also something that I'm gonna do to, survive my self-sabotage tendencies. Um, and let me just say, like, thank you for listening to this. Thank you for witnessing me. Thank you for, if you made it this far, like, I'm literally just a girl. There is nothing about me that is more special than anybody else, than you, than your friend, than your mom, than your dad, than anybody. Like, I just, I just do this and show up with the hopes that it helps somehow. And selfishly, it helps me. Like, I just therapized myself, low key, high key. But that's the show today, guys. It's a longer episode. We're back, baby. Hey, 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 hey. I thought it was gonna be short, but I was just yapping. If you like the show, if you got anything out of it, if it helped you in any way, share it with your friend. Spread the love, spread the joy. Um, Please, if you feel so inclined, if you could rate the show 5 stars on Apple Podcast or Spotify. I've got a lot of Apple podcasters out there. I was like, okay, girl. Yeah, give us a 5-star review. Leave me a comment, ask a question. Let me know what is going to be on your 75 soft, your own personal 75 challenge, 75-day challenge. Let me know in the comments. I would love to know if there's any overlap. Let me know if if these 7 steps help you, if they encourage you in some way. Maybe you have your own list of things that you do to help combat these cycles of self-sabotage and dissociation. I would love to know. As always, you can email me at perfectionunfoldingpod@gmail.com. You can follow the pod on Instagram at perfectionunfoldingpod, or you can subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to the channel, either here or over there or wherever it is. Yeah, everything helps. I hope you love the show. You know, I it feels like this go around. It feels like it's gonna be for a while. Me showing up for the show is also a part of my what I want my life to be, you know? And showing up for today really meant a lot to me, and little me thanks me, and then she thanks you too for watching. So, love you guys. That's all I got. Until next time. Okay, bye.